Imagine being an 11-year-old Fred Weasley. You've just received your Hogwarts acceptance letter. You're super excited and you're finally getting your very own wand from Ollivander's on Diagon Alley. George received a wicked broomstick-looking wand with leather lacing in the handle and cannot wait to see what Garrett comes out with next for you. And then he comes out with, boom, pine cone on a stick.
Here's some pine cones on a stick.
Oh, what is this? Pine cones! Oh my goodness, they're my favourite! That's rubbish!
So welcome back. In case you haven't clocked on yet, I am making every single Harry Potter wand from the films from the correct woods. And this week we've got double trouble. Yes, that's right, 2 wands in one video. Aren't you guys lucky?
Wicked.
Now I think Fred's wand is going to be a little bit difficult to make, so we're going to leave that bridge for future me to cross. This is future me, which has actually passed me to you. Yes, they were both very tricky. So, what are the woods? Well, officially they are unknown, but it's general consensus that dogwood is a perfect match for the twins, so that's what I've chosen for George's wand. But there's a problem. You see, in the UK, dogwood is a shrub and not usable at all, but in the United States, or bigger is better, dogwood refers to Corners, Florida, or flowering dogwood. Now, a bit like elderwood, you just can't buy it anywhere, but a follower kindly sourced me a branch which I had shipped over.
It was badly wrapped and they made me do it.
Did not.
It actually arrived about 4 months ago and I was waiting for this video to actually open it. And yes, I could have booked a cameo for less than shipping, but hey, we got to be the best or don't bother.
This lot won't come cheap, mum.
I have no idea if this is going to be usable or not. I'm actually very surprised. I thought this was going to be a lot worse than it is, and the reason for the shrink wrap was to basically stop it splitting as much as possible, and it's done a perfect job of that.
Now, Harry, come and join the big boys.
Now, I'm so happy with how well this is looking. It looks a bit like sycamore, and actually it's so much harder than I thought it was going to be. So this piece of wood is about 30 years old, and regular viewers of the channel know I like to take the pith when cutting my wood. So normally I mark the centre, both ends, draw a line, and then that's my cut line. So I'd normally get 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out of a branch.
Thought we heard your dulcet tones.
Don't bottle it up though, mate.
However, because this piece of wood has cost me so much, I actually want to get 3 blanks from it. So I'm hoping I can get 1, 2, 3 blanks. So you're going to find out how well I do. Now, yep, we managed it, and I think the best news is that this bottom piece, I'm going to be able to get 2 good blanks out of it, which would bring down the individual price of these 4 wands to only £30 each. So they are still a little bit wet.
Wet?
But a lot drier than I thought, so we're going to have to just quickly dry this piece before we can use it.
Was there an item in particular that you'd wished that you'd be able to keep from the films?
Yeah, there's 2 things which I wish I could have kept. One would definitely be the wand.
You didn't get to
No, we had to give them all back, which I was gutted about. I really thought the
Have you
last day
got some of the replica ones from Noble Collection?
Yeah, but they're not. They're not. Well, no, they are. But no, they are. But you want the real
You want
thing.
the authentic one that you
Yeah,
used
see
on
that
the
is.
set.
Yeah.
Well, James and Oliver, if by some miracle you do end up watching this video and you like the end result, just slide me a DM and I will gladly make you a pair of real wood wands. For a cameo, of course.
Try saying that 5 times faster.
Now, to dance is to let the body...
Okay, quick look at the wood. So we've got a couple knots, but they're not going to be an issue. And this end, we've got a little split, but it's on the edge, so it doesn't really matter. This dogwood is cutting lovely. This is straight off the tool, and that finish is as smooth as butterbeer. So, what's the plan? I actually don't know yet. I think I'm going to turn this shaft down first, and then focus on the handle. So I'm planning to use leather lacing for this part, and I thought this was like a spiral, so I thought, I could just use rope and like wrap it round sort of thing. But no, they are individual rings. So I think I'm going to try and carve them out by hand first.
So you mean this map shows
Everyone.
everyone?
Everyone. Where they are, what they're doing, every minute of every day.
Brilliant.
I don't know if this is universal or not, but I find it so satisfying when the shavings come off like this. So that's the shaft done, and often I'm basically looking, you can see this very white faint line. This is the silhouette basically. This is how I often turn sort of, I don't know, curved shapes I guess. And I'm also using this as basically an end stop so I can have a reference for the rest of the wand. Then I can finish this at the end.
Clever.
Now because this is curved, it makes it a bit more difficult. So you can see here, I've stayed within the silhouette on the piece of wood. So now I've actually just got to cut this by hand, unfortunately. I'm going to start at this end and then work backwards. So then that way I've got sort of the most strength in this part because it gets a bit flimsy up here. I lied. I managed to turn a little bit more out, which just saves carving and, more importantly, keeps it more accurate. So now I can just sort of take off those top bits, then start carving. Oh, I don't know how this is going to come out, to be honest. Future me knows. I don't. Right, as you can now see, it's sort of flat in that plane. Then if we rotate it 90, you should see, not too bad if I don't say so myself. I made a mistake. So obviously the side ones are in the same place, both sides, but the top and bottom are, that's what gives it the skew. Oh, we've gone wrong again. I say we, I. You can see here it looks quite good, it sort of matches up. The side looking quite good. Until you see there, I sort of go back in, whereas they're all slanted. I'm not sure where I've gone wrong actually, but it's happened again, but I think I know why this time. Right, we got there. Effectively, as you can see, these first two grooves go into the same top bit, but have their own separate bottom bit, if that makes sense. So whoever carved this on set, I think you made a mistake, because it should have its own extra groove up there, and you've cost me, I don't know, 20 minutes? And a lot of head scratching actually. So the plan is just to basically sort of take these top of the corners off, I think. Do that for everything, both sides. Then sort of get either a file or sandpaper. You're going to get a time lapse now because I want to listen to the radio. Sorry, that's about as much as I can play, but if you did just hear silence, it's because it was flagged and I had to delete it. Now, recently I've actually been given 6 months of a YouTube Premium free trial, and my god is it a game changer. I now never have to watch a 30-second advert for a 20-second clip. And if you don't have YouTube Premium, I'm really sorry because I'm about to place an ad. Now, if, like me, you think YouTube Premium is a bit too expensive, but you hate seeing adverts, well, I've got a way for you to bypass such a horrendous ordeal, and that is on my Patreon, where you can watch all my videos ad-free.
For a mere £1.
So as you can see, I've almost got that silhouette right, but obviously on that plane, I need to taper it down. So I'm going to focus on these 3 beads next because they're a little bit tricky. Now, one of the big upgrades I've done to the workshop this year is actually get 3-phase electricity installed. This means I don't have to keep unplugging and replugging each machine every time I want to use it, which used to be a right hassle. And the motors run much better with a bit more power, so you can work the machines a little bit harder. Right, we're nearly there. So I've been ignoring this lacing part, so looking at the sort of the piece behind, and you can see it's basically a flat taper in this plane, and then this side is the bendy plane. So the next step is to cut some corners.
You don't want to be late. Come on, leave me there now. Get yourself into a good position.
Why are they all standing around that manky old boot?
Now onto the handle strapping. The only piece of suitable leather I could find was an old shoelace.
Shoelace.
Feet off the table!
Feet off the table! No lace.
Now, whilst this lace is the perfect width, it is a bit too thick. Now, I've tried to sort of split it, but it wasn't going to work nicely. So I thought I'd try and carve a relief into the wood to basically locate the strap. The one downside is that where the lace overlaps won't be quite as flush everywhere, so here it's below the surface, here it's sort of the same height. But I think it'll give a really neat finish and help secure the strapping in place. So all we've got to do is mark it on... Oh, look, I've already done it. Now, this is in fact a double spiral, so you see I'm actually going to do the white... Cut the white one out first, make sure that fits, and then do the secondary one. Here I am slicing the fibres by just rolling the chisel in a diagonal line. The purpose of this is to prevent any tear out. I think it's a bit of a, like a paradox, I can't think what it's called, but basically this brown one, so this is the second one, it goes over that one, over, that's fine, over itself, over, under, so that one won't work, but the rest will, hopefully. I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm actually pretty happy with how well this is coming out. I've got a little bit of tear out, like a bit there. There's a chunk missing in there. And up here I shouldn't have gone to a corner, I should have curved that around. But really happy with how that looks. I'm hoping once I've sort of actually stuck it down, it might sit slightly deeper in the grooves. I was regretting it at the start because it was just taking quite a bit of time, and I thought, oh, I should have just gone for some thinner, gone and found some thinner leather, but maybe it's a bit more fitting being a Weasley one. You've got to use a shoelace or something. Time for a quick sand and then we can get staining. Come out worse than oh, the test piece looked a bit browner. Okay, we're going to add some mid oak because it was coming out too orange.
Yeah, I don't really fancy this colour.
Actually, it looks worse on the camera.
It's not as bad as it seems. See, it's fading already.
Now, whilst that dries, I do need to address the elephant in the room. I got a new lathe. Well, it's actually just a temporary lathe. This is the spindle from my other lathe, which I'm waiting to get remade. Basically, this inner bearing race is way too loose on that shaft. But no, on a more serious note, I've got to explain why I've lost 2 of my fingers. So this is the main reason I haven't made any videos this summer, for which I do apologise. But I do want to remind people of safety in the workshop and not to get complacent. Now, there are lots of ways of doing a Peter Pettigrew in this workshop, but I opted for the Finger Peeler 3000. Now, I never use a guard for various reasons.
Our job is to make sure that you don't get bloodied up too bad.
But basically, one night I had a lapse in concentration, my finger got caught right on the edge here between the blade and the table, and now I can only count to 9 3/4.
No one's died in years.
Here's a leg or an arm, pack it in all together. Never!
Now, luckily, I think that was the best finger to lose, but I am still a little bit stumped when typing.
We owe them so much.
That isn't just any manky old boot, mate. It's a port key. Guys, come on, I'm trying to get to Hogsmeade.
We know. Don't worry.
We'll get you there.
Now, I still haven't made Voldemort's wand from Real You Wood yet, and that is because I'm waiting to reach 100,000 subscribers. Now, if the view count on this video is over 100,000, and please say God it is, and you haven't subscribed, shame.
Shame.
The last thing I want to do is single you out, but you are kind of ruining it for the rest of us.
Oh, and Harry, don't forget, when you're done, just give it a tap.
But no, I can't actually make you do anything you don't want to do. However, I can make you watch a 5-second advert. Right, let's see how well this has stuck. Oh. I'm so happy with how well that has come out. So whilst this has been a ton of work, I'm pretty happy that this lace is not going to come out, especially at the corners at the end when it has to make a turn. Whoa, almost made a mistake. Not quite. Now I need to do this bottom piece of lacing, and you may be thinking, oh, just use the offcut of the lace. But if we go around to this side, it gets thicker and therefore the lace is too thin, which means one thing. Right, I had to thin that because it was just too thick and wasn't folding nicely. So when I wrap this around here, I've got quite a nice clearance there, but it sort of wants to spiral that way. This is going to be quite a tricky glue up, I think. And I'm just scoring this bit just to give the glue the best chance to hold the leather. I'm quite happy with how well that's worked. I sort of knew I only had one chance with leather to glue it. Right, halfway, time for a break.
Morning.
Welcome back. Now you may be thinking Fred's wand would be made from pine because pinecone. But if we look up the properties, it could not be a worse pairing. So that's a big fat no.
That's likely.
So what is the wood? Well, on the shaft there's these black lines, which instantly reminded me of rosewood. And with a bit of red stain, I think we've got a perfect match. Now my only piece was too short, so I've ordered this one in.
5 galleons.
How much for me?
5 galleons.
I'm your brother.
10 galleons.
Now I can't remember where I heard it, but I'm sure McGonagall's wand was originally made from rosewood, so I wouldn't be surprised if Fred's wand was also made from rosewood. What is quite interesting is that this Indian rosewood is quite light brown, whereas this one has got a real maroon colour and it's actually pretty much perfect. Now the grain sort of curves quite a bit at this point, so that's where we're going to position the handle, and for the shaft we get the nice straight grained strong bit of timber. You'll see there I'm jerking slightly on the tool rest, which just means I need to give the tool rest another quick sand and wax to make sure it is lovely and smooth. This is just a reminder that high-speed steel tools are the best, because look at that finish straight off the tool. The wood does help, of course, but if you see anyone using carbide, tell them off. Naughty. You can see here where the grain is sort of not going straight again, I've got a tiny bit of tear out, which won't be an issue, but this is why I'm keeping the straight end for the shaft. You must subscribe. Now, drilling end grain on such a long and unsupported piece can sometimes be a bit tricky, but you can see I've got that quite steady, and I'm also using a brand new drill bit. What's really important is the first initial cut, because if that goes off centre, the drill will really wander through the piece.
Saint-like.
Come again?
I'm holy.
So that sound you're hearing is actually vibration, and it's causing the tool to cut like this. Now it can be caused by a multitude of things, such as an unsupported bevel or taking too big of a cut, as well as turning thin wood. But in this case it's mainly due to not having my left hand guiding the tool, and my live sender has a little bit of play in it. Now because this rosewood is so hard, I'm actually cutting with the very tip of my skew chisel, and this leaves quite a frayed shaving still on the wood. Now a planing cut uses the cutting edge and leaves a really nice finish, and you can see by the curly shavings that they have basically been sliced off the wood. But using just the tip can make a really crude Christmas tree, or an even cruder Fred Weasley wand. Ta-da! Now you see this pine cone actually has a straight taper, so that's what I've just done here. And the plan now is to basically part down all of these to get a rough shape. Now one of these slight issues is that these little sort of nodules, I'm going to call them, there's 8 there, 9 there, 9 there, 10, 11, 11, 10. So nothing actually lines up. So effectively they're each their own section. And I'm just using this spanner to get a nice flat and square reference point to work from.
Well, none of us really fancy it, mate.
Yeah, imagine if something went wrong and we ended up a scrawny specky git forever.
Now, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, well, welcome and thank you for watching. Maybe you're finding it adequately enjoyable and you're thinking, maybe I'll watch some of his other videos. They don't have the same production value as this video and you'll only be disappointed. But maybe subscribe and then you can see my future videos. Now that's it blocked out, apart from this bit here, because this is my most narrow tool and it doesn't actually fit properly. So I'm going to make some out of these screwdrivers. Now I've used this one before on pewter as a sort of parting tool, and hopefully this little devil is going to become an absolute teeny tiny skew chisel. It's much nicer because it's such a narrow depth of cut. There's a bit less vibration, but it does like to sort of self-feed a little bit. Around about now, I could be giving you a paid promotion for a company that rhymes with Hetterbelt, but I don't think you want that. So in return, I'd like your help in honouring the comedic duo by playing a little prank on YouTube at the end of this video.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
If you're watching on a telephone, tablet or TV, please feel free just to leave this video once I've shown you the finished ones. But if you're watching on a computer, please just mute this video and then watch another YouTube video in a new tab, because I'm going to place quite a few ads.
It's not going to work.
That's why it's so brilliant, because it's so pathetically dim-witted.
And maybe 1 or 2 Easter eggs.
When you're done, just give it a tap and say, mischief managed.
So far, I've actually enjoyed this more than George's wand. The next step, I'm going to give it a quick sand. As soon as I start carving, I won't be able to basically turn or sand any of this handle, because these little bits are going to be so brittle, so I've got to be so careful about not catching them. The pound coin is just for scale, just to show how small we're playing with here. And also place your bets. How many of these little nodules am I going to snap off?
Place your bets, place your bets, come on!
And to add some danger, I'm not going to clean the floor.
1 second, you're up.
Okay, that's the bulk of the first ring carved out, and for the rest of these I'm going to have to use this little devil. Basically I don't have room to cut these and I need some space to actually start carving, so I'm just going to basically incision all the little steps along there.
1, 2, 3.
Oi! Never gonna let him forget this, are you?
Never.
Okay, it's a start. I am going to try and undercut these a bit more, as much as I can, but also I need to add a slight, so on all of these I've basically gone down at 90 degrees, but I think I need to just go in ever so slightly because it doesn't look quite right. Okay, we've had our first breakage.
That's rubbish! You don't know what you're doing!
But luckily, it didn't actually fall off. Hopefully we can just glue this back on.
Thought we heard your dulcet tones.
Don't bottle it up though, mate. Let it out.
Anyway, if you're all done shouting.
Do you want to hear something a little more interesting?
Uh-oh. Right, I've got to find a little nodule like that in all of this. It sort of flew out in this direction. And at least it's not the same size as all the other bits of shavings.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
If you do happen to spot it before I do, please drop a comment telling me where it is. It's like a really shit game of Where's Wally, but Wally's actually behind the camera. You've got 3 seconds to find it. There it is. Oh, I forgot to press record, but imagine me gluing that little bit.
We've got fainting fancies, nosebleed nougat, and just in time for school, puking pastels.
Right, I think we have passed the point of diminishing returns. I'm sort of happy with how this looks. I think it could be better. So in total, 2 of these completely snapped off and I had to glue them back on. But I think there's about 5 I actually had to glue, like they sort of half broke, if that makes sense.
That's pathetic.
Thank you.
So I'm glad I didn't go any sort of smaller. They do sort of need a bit more of an undercut, but with the wood it's just so brittle and I want to be able to, you know, actually hold it and not be too worried about it. So, you know, I think we're going to leave it like that. And we mustn't forget that on the replica, I imagine from when it was carved originally, there's still quite a lot of sort of sharp edges and stuff, so I'm not too worried about, you know, trying to sand these all out and get it nice and shiny. But now I can finally get back to wood turning the rest of the shaft. Now I could carve this little wart now, and if I mess up I've still got spare, or I could take the rest of this waste out and just go all or nothing.
Look, here comes a consequence, consequences of my actions chasing me right now.
This has actually happened many times over the years, and I'm definitely getting better at finding the little pieces, but... oh. Hey, ain't my first rodeo. Look what I found! Oh. If I stick it to my finger, I'll never, never lose... oh, God. Okay, that was really messy, but 1 wart reinstalled. watch me break it off again.
Just trying to diffuse the tension.
ready for air, Freddy, George?
Bottoms up.
Now for the finish, I'm just going to use straight Danish oil because the viscosity is great and it means we can get into every single little crevice in this handle. Ooh, baby. Oh no. I dropped the brush. Oh, that's going to be caked. Yuck. I'm just going to spin it up a little bit because there's quite a lot of excess oil in this. It's like modern art, isn't it?
You know, George, I've always felt our futures lay outside the world of academic achievement.
Fred, I've been thinking exactly the same thing.
Oh, that's so satisfying.
Joking.
Look how dark that's come out, and I messed up the bottom of this one. Right, time to prank YouTube and reveal some Easter eggs.
It's going to work.
Here's some pine cones on a stick.
I actually think this looks really cool. It was a broken McGonagall wand, but I don't know, it just feels really nice. Now, whilst I haven't made every Weasley wand yet, this does now mean I finished the Weasley wands which feature on the wand wheel.
Dandelion. Must be the last one of the season.
I'm not sure how many people fell for that. That was so much work, and I'm not sure it was worth it. But if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This has been a massive, massive effort video, so I hope it does really well. Thank you.